Tonight's topic is all about how to start a business in 24 hours. And I absolutely love this topic because I love speed. I love speed. Those of you that have been on a conversation with me, you will always hear me talking about how speed will help keep you out of procrastination, overthinking, and everything else. So let's talk about how to start a business. I've broken this out into 3 to 4 steps. So this first step, very first thing, if you've been around long enough, I'm super big on impact. So the first thing that you need to do is get into alignment. So when I say alignment, you can think of this in terms of your purpose, your passion, the things that excite you, whatever it is, but to be rooted in doing something that's aligned with the impact that you want to make in the world. That is how we ensure that you have the fulfillment that you want. You want to be building a business from a fulfilling place, because business building isn't always peaches and roses or rainbows and roses or whatever the analogy is. So you want to be rooted in fulfillment for sure. All right. Now, if you're thinking, that's great, I understand that, I get it, but I've been having a hard time just trying to figure out, what is that impact I want to make? What is that thing I should be doing? What is that purpose? What is that? How do I figure that out? Here's a couple of things that you can just think about. So if you don't have a pen and paper with you, always have a pen and paper with you, because I will always give you something. First thing is this. When it comes to trying to figure out, well, what's that impact I want to make, ask yourself, what really gets me excited? And ask yourself that without judgment. I'm going to say that again. Without judgment. If it gets you excited, it gets you excited. So what's the thing that gets you excited? Another thing to think about is, what's something that I would talk about just endlessly? That I could just sit around and talk about all day if you let me. All right? A third thing that you can think about is, if you've been in a heated debate, let's call it, if you've been in a heated debate recently, try to think about what that debate was about and what got you so riled up and why were you so intense on sharing your side of the story, your perspective, or that type of thing. In any of those questions, you are likely to find that there is something in there that you truly connect with deep down, and that's likely to be the thing that shows up as your impact. Now, the next step I'm going to get to is going to be the bridge between impact and actually having something that you can monetize. So we'll get to that in just a second. But first thing, I want to see how many of you are in the position of really recognizing, okay, I know the impact I want to make, and how many of you are still lingering in that land. You be sure, take that as your homework tonight or the next live you come to, whatever you'd like to do. Take it as your homework to really ask yourself those questions. And remember, those questions are, what is it that excites you without judgment? What was the second thing I told you? What is something that you would talk about just all day on end? And the third thing, thinking about the last time you were in a debate or a heated argument and you were arguing a side or a position. Is there maybe something in there? Okay, so take that as an assignment. Okay. So let's go into that next step. So once you have your excitement or your impact, your next step is saying, all right, so if I look at this impact, how do I discover within this impact that there is a problem that I can help somebody solve? Because it's not enough to just have, oh, I want to help so-and-so, I want to help the world. It's not enough to say that and then make it a business. That's the reality. You have to be able to connect your impact to a problem that needs to be solved in the world. And for some cases, people either run away from pain or they run towards desire. I tend to stick on the problem side and helping people solve problems. I just think that's easier. So you need to uncover, if this is the impact that I want to make, if this is the thing that excites me, where in here is there a problem along this continuum of excitement that I can help somebody solve? So where's the problem? Who has the problem? So when you can figure those two things out, you now start to see that, okay, all right, I can build a business. I can build a business that's aligned with me at my core and the impact I want to make. And I see that along this continuum of this impact, there are people in here that need my help. There's a problem that I need to help them solve. So when you can identify the problem and you're the person that can provide the solution, now you're ready to rock. Okay? I'm going to share with you an example from my perspective. So I'm super huge on ownership, super big on ownership. Own your time, your talent, your identity, own your legacy, own your everything, just own it. And so knowing that that's my continuum, ownership and entrepreneurship, it's my thing. So knowing that is my continuum, when I look at problems that need to be solved, right, I look at, well, places that I've been, right? I know what it's like to be in corporate and want to take ownership of my time, my talent, my identity. And so, therefore, the Business Accelerator exists. Ownership is my thing. Entrepreneurship is my thing. And by the way, especially for those of you that are multi-passionate, it's important that you at least pick one thing to start. But you likely will see your impact show up in many different places. Because ownership and entrepreneurship is so important to me, even right now, I'm working on a scholarship committee thing with a nonprofit thing and getting entrepreneurship on there. It's at the core. So in that continuum, there are many different facets, but when you're talking about your business, you want to find a problem that you can solve. So you start with your impact, then you're going to boil into what's that problem that you can solve on the continuum. Now, step 3, last 2 steps here, and these are fairly straightforward. So once you have the problem that you can solve it, but solve it with a service. Why do I say solve it with a service? Now, those examples that Elena and Lakeisha have, they fall into the service space, right? They're coaching. The reason I say solve it with a service is because if you want to start a business in 24 hours, you can be as resourceful as possible, but your best resource is going to be you. If I want to start in 24 hours, I know my impact, I figured out a problem I can solve. And in the case of them, okay, so I can go and be a coach tomorrow, right? The idea that they have for coaching or for relationship coaching is probably born, actually I happen to know for these two, is it's born out of something that they have done. They've either helped other people in their lives, they probably got people that are knocking on their doors, please help me, maybe waiting on them, that type of thing. And so the fastest way to start is not by saying, okay, let me go and let me design a new product, let me go find some suppliers, let me go raise a massive amount of capital before I can get started. All those things, while they are viable business models, because they are, if you want to get started quickly, your fastest path is to rely on what's completely in your control. And that is you, and you with the service. Now, when I say that's a starting place, right? Because that's, if you want to grow a large company, it's not always going to be you. But that is a starting place if you want to start and get moving. Okay? Is that making sense? So the last step, and this is the simple, because we're talking about starting a business within 24 hours. So far, we've figured out that, okay, we're going to start with a service, and it's going to be aligned with the impact that you want to make in the world. Okay. Now, this last step is you need to get some people in the door, right? You need to get some clients. And there are lots of different ways to get clients. Now, we're talking about you getting clients or getting up and running in the next 24 hours. So fast. And so one of the ways that you can quickly do that is by leveraging your friends and family. And the way you leverage them, and I don't mean, okay, we're going to call on them to be a client, but leverage them as part of your marketing. So often, friends and family want to support you and see you do well. So one of the ways that they can do that is by you being intentional and saying, hey, so this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this thing. I'm helping so-and-so people do XYZ thing. If you know of some folks that fit the type of person that I'm looking for, the type of client that I'm looking for, please let me know about it. Hey, would you like to make me an introduction? I would love, that would help me so much. Better yet, hey, because I'm doing all this stuff, I'm going to be communicating about what I'm doing with my business and how it's going. I would love to keep you in the loop. You want to join onto my email list? I cannot tell you how valuable it is for you to start embodying and living in this business that you want to have. That's part of your getting it up quickly, is not whispering about it. And it's people knowing, because people know people who know people who know people who could potentially be your client. And so they never know until you open your mouth and you have the belief and you step forward. And now, again, your go forward. So as you think about, those of you especially who are not clear about what impact am I making and how might I change that into a service, take some of those questions that I gave you at the beginning and really think on those and use those as your homework. And there are some of you, at least one of you right now, that's currently in the accelerator, that's on this live right now. But if you are saying, okay, I figured this out, or I can't figure this out, or I don't want to figure this out alone, as always, reach out, DM anytime. So that's all I have for you all today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your evening, rest of your week, and talk to you again soon. See you later.